El superior general de los misioneros claretianos reflexiona sobre el legado del Papa Francisco. Bienvenidos a iClaret News, Abril 2025. Como saben, el Papa Francisco regresó a la casa del Padre el lunes de Pascua, 21 de abril 2025. En agradecimiento por su vida, su ministerio petrino, el vínculo personal que compartió con él, nuestro superior general, el Padre Matthew Watamatam, publicó una sentida reflexión titulada Tocado por el corazón de un pastor, mis encuentros personales con el Papa Francisco. La siguiente entrevista ofrece una visión más profunda de la esencia de este mensaje. El 27 de abril se celebró el Día de la Misión Claretiana 2025, destacando el papel vital de la mujer en la misión de la Iglesia. Con el lema Mujeres, agentes de evangelización y de empoderamiento, la jornada resaltó el liderazgo femenino en la enseñanza, el servicio y la evangelización. La Comisión General del Congreso de la Espiritualidad Claretiana se reunió en Roma del 7 al 11 de abril para redactar el documento final y una guía para la conversación espiritual en comunidad. Esta herramienta práctica recoge los aportes claves del Congreso 2024 y busca renovar la espiritualidad misionera y sinodalidad claretiana en toda la congregación. En Napyeong, Corea del Sur, se celebró del 21 al 26 de abril la sexta asamblea de la delegación claretiana. Con espíritu de discernimiento, el padre Manuel Ezan Parampil fue reelegido superior mayor junto con el padre Michael Park y el padre Stefano Cho como consultores. El hermano Carlos Berga, presidente de la asamblea, exhortó a los claretianos a caminar como una iglesia compasiva cercana a los jóvenes. En la Mala, Polonia, 21 misioneros claretianos se reunieron del 22 al 25 de abril para su asamblea provincial, presidida por el padre Pedro Bederain, prefecto general de apostolado. Centrados en la renovación parroquial, colaboraron con laicos, recibieron al obispo Jacek Kinski y exploraron herramientas de evangelización, renovando su compromiso misionero mediante la oración, el diálogo y la reflexión sinodal con la Iglesia Universal. Desde Madrid, España, la 54ª Semana Nacional para la Vida Consagrada, organizada por el Instituto Teológico de la Vida Religiosa, se centró en el tema Necesitamos recuperar la importancia del corazón. Celebrada durante la octava de Pascua, el evento reunió a cientos de participantes en persona y en línea, reflexionando sobre la dimensión afectiva de la vida consagrada en medio del fallecimiento del Papa Francisco. Se anuncian cambios en la Curia General en Roma. El padre Lorwina concluye 9 años de servicio, mientras que el padre Gabriel Ponce asume como nuevo procurador general de misiones. El padre Biggio Antoni se incorpora al CESC para colaborar con la fragua en inglés. La congregación agradece a todos ellos, les acompaña con sus oraciones en sus nuevas misiones. Hello, Father General. After the death of Pope Francis, how did your personal encounter with him shape your understanding of leadership and mission in the church?
One of the first insights for me is to see the congregation as a responsibility of everyone. No? That synodal spirituality, which the Pope applied to the church. Every baptized is responsible for the church, for the mission. Jesus was entrusted, and there are different roles. So I would look at the congregation as a co-responsibility of all of us who are proposed and in different roles. Whether I am a superior general operating from Rome, another missionary maybe in the Amazonias, in Russia, doing the same mission, but with different roles. Second is listening to what the Spirit is saying to us. It's not the liking or disliking of the superior general or provincial, but the whole question of listening to the Spirit and together listening. And this way I have sometimes made comments that it is not the liking or the disliking of the superior general that should guide the congregation, but the whisper of the Holy Spirit to all of us and in the church. Therefore, we have a collective responsibility to listen to the Spirit. And I have my personal responsibility to protect that my own inclinations, my likings do not prevent that. I think the same is valid for every one of us. No? Another insight which I learned from him is to see the congregation not just from Rome, but from the peripheries. And the congregation is alive and active in the various missions. And to see the congregation from that perspective, not so much from our relation in Vatican or so-called administrative levels, which are important, the ethos of the congregational charism is in our communities. And seeing congregation from that perspective is also very important. Another aspect is this accompaniment. No? None of us are perfect. We cannot be solitary missionaries. We cannot live also as collections of missions. And I sometimes use potatoes in a sack, no? Together but disconnected. That's not Claretian mission. We need to care for one another, help us to grow in our vocation together. And thus, therefore, this co-responsibility, mutual accompaniment is also something I have learned from the inspirations of the Pope.
What did the Pope Francis teach you or teach the congregation about responding with faith and compassion during moments of crisis or pain or difficulties?
Well, the very life of the Pope, which was always very often facing challenges, criticisms, ridicule from within the church and from outside. I remember those days from when some of those bishops made an accusation and even considered that he is not a real Pope because the previous bishop resigned and he should be resigning, etc., with their own agendas. But the calm way of addressing this and even allowing an investigation into some of those accusations was for me a big lesson that we face criticisms as perspectives that one may not have, or accusations as an invitation to look into objective facts, because truth makes us free.
How did the late Pope affirm and inspire Claretian missionary spirit throughout his pontificate?
He knew the congregation, particularly some of the Claretians he has named at different times, like Father Torres. He was very close with Cardinal Aquilino Bocos. He valued his service. He knew Abella and then the publications in Argentina and Madrid, the Gustavo and Fernando, etc. I had also a few occasions to personally meet him, and I've experienced the warmth and appreciation for our missionaries. Well, coming to our congregation, I think we have journeyed with the teaching of the pontificate, the magisterium, just as we did before, during the time of John Paul II. The chapter of 2015 took place in the context of what I would call the Magna Carta of mission, the Evangelii Gaudium, which we studied before the chapter. And when we had the meeting with the Pope, I told him the Evangelii Gaudium was written to Claretians. It was so touching and so relevant for us missionaries. Then one of the different writings of the Pope has shaped our own understanding and our own journey, and particularly the synodal journey. We have initiated that in the last chapter, conversations, which we call generative. Then the various writings like Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, and they had their own impact on us, and our own reflections on SOMI, solidarity mission. Then the youth, we received a good impetus. And recently our document on vocations is very much influenced by the Pope's teaching and his own impact. Another thing for us, particularly the discernment which he taught in Gaudete Exultate number 166, speaking of the discernment, how to know that an impulse comes from God or from human inclinations or from the devil. Then the other writings of the Pope on the holiness, naturally, and then the Saint Joseph, etc. So we have been journeying as a congregation, listening and to the Pope and his teaching. We actually did not go much with the controversies, because I was also insisting we first study, not learn what Pope teaches from the social media, from the critics, but from the documents. And that's why as a congregation, we did not go into those controversies about blessing of homosexual marriages, etc. Many false interpretations of his writings. And I would say our congregation as such, not just me, we are very grateful for the gift of the Pope to the world, to our congregation.
Thank you so much, Father, and enjoy your mission in Indonesia.